Greetings and welcome to Chaotic Beagle Entertainment. I am your host, Chaos, as always. Thank you very much for joining me today, you awesome gamer hounds. Today, as we usually do on Fridays, we are going to do one of the commander decks that I currently run on occasion. This deck tech is very fun, very interesting. Very dependent on your opponent's decks. So the stronger your opponent deck, the stronger that you can make this one. So very fun. And so we're going to go ahead and get rolling to it. Today's commander is Lazav. He is a very fun, very interesting commander. I've run him a number of times and pulled off some very crazy wild wins. This one is, again, very dependent on your opponent's decks. Very fun to play, though. He can get real big and nasty and just sometimes become a nuisance without actually even doing anything with him. Sometimes just having him on the board, depending on what he is copying from your opponent's decks. So, yeah. We're going to go ahead and do him today. So he is a blue, black, 3/3 shapeshifter. He has hexproof, and whenever a creature is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, you may have Lazav Dimir Mastermind become a copy of that card. Except its name is Lazav Dimir Mastermind. It's legendary in addition to its other types and has hexproof and this ability. So he basically stays as he is, but he ends up gaining whatever the creature had that was sent to the graveyard. So, yeah, I've had him become some big, 10/10 infect, Blight, Steel Colossus. I've copied, stuff like that. I've copied a lot of different stuff with him. So he can get very interesting. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and break down his deck and some of the stuff that I've got in it. Alright. So, for this deck, we are going to be running 10 snow-covered swamps. So that's the first part there. Move a few things around here real quick off camera. Alright, next thing on the list is going to be the islands. I haven't done it yet, and I would probably like to get these to be all snow-covered islands. But for right now, this is what I've got. And I have 12 islands, 12 basic islands. 3 of which are snow-covered, but I would probably end up putting all of them as snow-covered if I got the opportunity to. Just haven't, pushed and done that just yet. So, very nice, very cool. All right. Then we have 11 unique lands. So we've got Thespian Stage, Mikokoro, the Center of the Sea, Choked Estuary, Command Tower, Classic, Tainted Isle, Shipreck Marsh, Myriad Landscape, Exotic Orchard, Rogue's Passage, Sunken Hollow, and the Drowned Catacomb. And with Lazav being 2 blue, 2 black, no colorless, it makes it a little bit difficult trying to get him out off the jump sometimes. But once you get him out, it picks up pretty nice and pretty quickly to keep going. So, all right. So for the artifacts, we have 11 artifacts in this deck. Get you a good spot there. There we go. Trepanation Blade. Mindcrank. Lovely one to have, because whenever an opponent loses life, that player puts that many cards from the top of his or her library into his or her graveyard. And, as we read before, and you can see on the screen there, Lazav copies any creature that goes to the graveyard from anywhere. So, yeah. A lot of the components of this deck are going to be copies or mill. So you want to, you can copy Lazav. You can mill out an opponent. One card that I am missing from this that I will say I would like to get someday is going to be Brovak. I do not have him in here, but he is one that once given the opportunity, I will be able to spend the money and get him into this deck. But he is not in here. Just kind of a heads up. I guarantee a lot of people are like, where's Brovak? He's not in here. He will be one day, but just not for right now. Kefnet's Monument, Arcane Signet, Mirror Box, Folio of Fancies. And this, players have no maximum hand size. It's kind of nice if you get a good flood of mana. You basically make everybody draw a bunch of cards and then make them, put their hand. Each opponent puts a number of cards equal to the number of cards in their hand from the top of their library in the graveyard. So you can basically, you got somebody's doing a whole lot of mill trying to get off a Lab Mage or Thassa's Oracle or something like that. Then you can basically make them mill out, just stuff like that. Mesmeric Orb. This one's this one's a bit toxic, but it gets the job done. Bonehoard. Oh, come on. Clear out there. There we go. Bonehoard. Altar of Dementia. Soul Ring. And Dimir Signet to help get a little bit more mana filtering done. All right. So those are the artifacts. All right, enchantments. Not a whole lot of enchantments in this deck. Just a few, just to kind of help with what's going on. But yeah, not a whole lot. We've only got 6 enchantments in this deck. So we've got Mirrormade. So you can have this enter the battlefield as a copy of any artifact or enchantment on the battlefield, which is pretty nice if somebody's got a good artifact or enchantment that's just kind of, laying down the law and doing some good work. You can copy it. So, Court of Cunning. Rhystic Study, kind of a classic to have in here. A little bit of, you got some people that are playing a whole lot of spells and doing a lot of stuff, get to draw a card. So the faster you can get to the pieces you want in this deck, the faster you can, mill out your opponent and just get all big and nasty. Animate Dead. Psychic Corrosion. And Memory Erosion. So that one's a nice little combo there. Basically, whenever you draw a card, each opponent puts the top 2 cards of their library in their graveyard. When an opponent casts a spell, that player puts the top 2 cards of their library in their graveyard as well. So, no matter what's going on, if I'm drawing a card or I've got effects that, if you cast a spell, like Rhystic Study, so, you've got Rhystic Study out there, and then these two, they play a spell, they mill 2, and then I draw a card, they mill 2. So, for them casting a spell, I draw a card and they mill 4. So, not a bad little combo to really get their goat on that one. And then, you still have Mirrormade. So, you can duplicate Rhystic Study. You can, copy up some other stuff. So, it can get very, very interesting. All right, sorceries. We're a little heavy on sorceries. Let's put you back in there, buddy. Alright, sorceries. We have 13 sorceries in here. We've got Extract from Darkness, Quasi-Duplicate, Pilfered Plans, Bond of Insight, Mind Grind, Clone Legion, Mnemonic Betrayal, Mind Funeral, Diabolic Tutor, tutoring to get what you need. This one is, what was it? Rite of Replication, I believe it was. So basically, for 2 and 2 blue, you can make a copy of any creature that's on the battlefield, or you can pay that with the kicker and get 5 copies of any creature that is on the board. So I ordered this one off of TCG, and yeah, it you know, I should probably just get, you know, an English copy that I can actually read, but that one is the Rite of Replication is what that one is. And I'll throw that one up on the screen just in case so everybody can see it. This one I like pulling off every once in a while, Bribery. Search target opponent's library for a creature card, put it into play under your control, then that player shuffles his or her library. Knowing somebody has got, you know, Blightsteel, Darksteel, you know, any of the Eldrazi, you know, pain in the asses that are out there. Nice way to go and be like, hey, let me borrow that. Maddening Cacophony. And Traumatize. Puts the top half of his or her library rounded down into his or her graveyard. And that's a nice one when you've got, like I mentioned, Brovac. Basically have them mill their entire library. Yeah. So, that's, yeah, some of the stuff we've got in here. Some nice items, some nice pieces there. Alright. So now to the instants. So for instance, we have 11 instants to work with on this deck. Alright, so we have Siphon Insight, Drown in the Lock, Power Sink, Psychic Strike. And these are nice because not only does it counter the spell, but their controller puts the top 2 cards from his library, his or her library, into the graveyard. So you get a little mill off the top with that counter. Yeah, kind of works out nicely. Visions of Beyond. And draw a card. If a graveyard has 20 or more in it, you know, draw 3 cards instead. So for 1 mana to draw 3 cards, that's pretty powerful there. Didn't Say Please. Counter target spell. Its controller puts the top 3 cards of their library into the graveyard. More mill. Thought Collapsed. Again. Counter target spell. Controller puts the top 3 into their graveyard. So basically, I mean, it's pretty much word for word the exact same thing as Didn't Say Please. Just has a different name. So why not? High Tide. So this one's nice. You know, late game drop for 1 where all your islands double up on the amount of mana that they produce. So, yes. Very nice. Very helpful. Soul Shatter. Each opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker with the highest converted mana cost among theirs. So, you got something big and nasty, it goes bye-bye. Memory Plunder. And Grisly Spectacle. So, destroy target non-artifact creatures. Controller puts a number of cards equal to that creature's power from the top of their library into his or her graveyard. So you got a big 20-20. That's fine. You are now milling 20 cards, my buddy. So that's a nice one. All right, now to the fun part. All right. So again, this is a very fun deck to play. Get a little bit of moment. I've been able to get a little bit of momentum going and basically just run away with a game with this guy. And then I've had games where, I've got opponents' creatures that just aren't really worth anything. If they've got ETBs or this, that, and the other, Lazav, doesn't benefit from those kind of things. So it's very dependent on who you're going up against when you play this deck. But it is very fun when you play it, and all kinds of weird shenanigans are going off. I enjoy this deck quite a bit. All right, so we got the Cryptoplasm, Sakashima of 1,000 Faces, Phyrexian Metamorph. This guy is real nice too. Not only does he have the Phyrexian mana, where you can pay 2 life if you don't have the mana to actually drop into him, but he also comes in as a copy of any artifact or creature on the battlefield. So even if it has hexproof, you're not targeting it, so it's still on the battlefield, so you can still copy it. But he's an artifact in addition. So, if I've got Sakashima that I've used to copy Lazav, then I'll copy Sakashima with this guy, and then, I've got 3 Lazavs on the board. And, that can get... I've had, I think, the most I've had was, 3. I haven't gone over that many Lazavs on the battlefield at one given time yet. But you never know. Sire of Stagnation. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, that player exiles the top 2 cards of his or her library, and I draw 2 cards. That's very, very nice, very nasty. Spark Double. Alright, so Phoenix, God of Deception. So we're going to set him aside, because we've got a nice little combo in here that I'll point out when we get to it. Night Veil Spectre. Laboratory Maniac, which is not bad. If you go and mill yourself out, you have him on the battlefield, win the game. Win button. Baleful Strix. Evil Twin. Nope. Sakashima the Imposter. This one's, again, is like Sakashima of 1,000 Faces, kept a little bit different. He can, again, copy anything on the battlefield, except his name is Sakashima the Imposter still. It's legendary in addition to its other types, and you can pay 2 blue, return this creature to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. So he kind of has a, get out of jail free card for himself. So, yeah. But he's kind of nice, depending on what you have out on the battlefield, you can go and copy some stuff up, and yeah, it can get pretty nasty. We have Lazav, the Multifarious. And then Consuming Aberration. This is one that can get real big and nasty at any given time. Toughness is equal to the number of cards in your opponent's graveyards. Whenever you cast a spell, each opponent reveals the top card of his or her library until he reveals a lane card, puts those into his or her graveyard. So this bad boy can get real big, real quick. The classic Fleet Swallower. And then I've done it on occasion where I take the Rite of Replication and made 5 copies of the Fleet Swallower and just basically swung them at people. Didn't care what it did afterwards. The moment it goes to attack, it's just, here, I'm going to gobble up half your deck. Dimir Doppelganger. Eater of the Dead. So, Eater of the Dead is kind of nice because he pairs up with Phoenix here. So if you got Phoenix and Eater of the Dead, basically you just eat somebody's library. As long as you keep hitting, for one, you can take 1 creature card from any graveyard, remove it from the game, and untap this guy. So what you do is you have him out and Phoenix out. Phoenix has a ability, creatures you control have tap. Target player puts the top X cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard, where X is this creature's toughness. So, basically, you tap him, to mill 4 out of somebody's library. And then if there's a creature in their graveyard, you eat it, you untap him, tap him again, do 4 more, and you just keep doing that until there's no more library. Bye-bye. So that's a very nice win condition there. Nice little combo. Ruin Crab, gotta have that in there. It's a mill deck. Sad Robot. Solemn Simulacrum. Glass Pool Mimic. So he is a island on the back, basically. On this side, he can enter in a battlefield as a copy of any creature you control, except it's a shapeshifter rogue in addition to its other types. So, copy up a Fleet Swallower, copy up a Eater of the Dead, copy up any number of different things. So, yes. Very nice. Captain Nagathrod. He's a nice one to have in here. I don't have a whole lot of horrors. I think there's maybe like 1 or 2. But the main thing is at the beginning of your end step, choose target artifact or creature card in opponent's graveyard. Put there from their library this turn, put it on the battlefield under your control. So it's a nice way, with all the mill and all that kind of stuff that's going on, to be able to grab a card out of their graveyard. You can, if it's a creature or whatever, artifact or a creature, grab it out of their graveyard, bring it in, and, just be able to really throw some monkey wrenches into people's plans. So, very nice addition. Sir Conrad the Grim. I've won many a game utilizing his capabilities. Whenever another creature dies or a creature card is put into a graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature leaves their graveyard, he deals 1 damage to each opponent. So I've done a number of winning games using him, basically just having people mill half their library, and boom, 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 a bunch of life points are gone from all opponents because I made all of them mill half their library or something like that. So, yeah, comes out nicely. Stunt double. Thief of Sanity. This is one that's a little bit iffy. He's a nice addition, but you could easily replace him with something a little better. I just kind of threw him in because I had him available, so I was like, why not? A Duskmantle Guild Mage. So he's kind of nice if you've got the mana to spend. Whenever a card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere this turn, that player loses 1 life. So you pop that and basically just mill. Hit them with the Fleet Swallowers or a Traumatize or whatever it may be. And then you can pay, so that's 1 blue-black, or you can do 2 blue-black, and target player puts the top 2 cards of his or her library into their graveyard. So, yeah. And then Gonti. Gonti's another nice one that has worked out numerous times in this deck. Whenever he enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of target opponent's library. Exile 1 of them face down. Put the rest on the bottom of the library in a random order. You may look at and cast that card for as long as it remains exiled. And you may spend mana as though it were mana of any type. And I've pulled off some crazy little wins with him in there. Just grab somebody's game-ending card, put a bunch of mana into it, and then, just blow somebody up, or, any number of different things. So, yeah. Those are pretty good, pretty nice. And then, actually thinking about it, I know I've got all the stuff as, maybe I pulled out, I know I mentioned there was a reason why I had snow covereds in here. And I want to say, maybe I pulled that component out. I think I had a Dark Depths in here, was what I was going to put. Did I not? No, he's not in there. So I wonder if I pulled that out of there. So, I guess really other than that, there's not really too much reason to have the snow covereds. I want to say I think I had a Dark Depths or a Merit Lage's Slumber or something in here. I may have pulled it out. But yeah, so there we go. It's a very fun deck. Like I said, this deck very much depends on how strong your opponent's deck is, what kind of stuff they've got in it. Very fun to pull off. I usually try not to play this one too often, just because the limitations of the deck itself and, and my opponents. But also, not a lot of people like doing mill. They don't like losing stuff before they've gotten a chance to go through with it. But, I mean, it's a different play style. Again, I do like this deck. I have a lot of fun with it. It's very interesting. I've seen it. It's popped off sometimes, and then it sat there and did a whole lot of nothing. But either way, it's a fun deck. I like it. I get a kick out of it. So, thank you all for joining me today. I am Chaos with Chaotic Beagle Entertainment, signing out. You all take it easy. Have a happy, safe, and fun weekend. Again, this is a Friday. If you have any suggestions on anything for this deck, put them in the comments below. I love hearing from you guys. I love chatting back and forth with you all. So, yeah, no, give me a shout. Let me know. If you liked anything, you saw something that maybe I could do better with it or anything else, let me know. I always love interacting with you guys. Other than that, I'm signing out of here. Y'all take it easy. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take it easy. Later.